Rahul Barwani from Berkeley, University, California.
Hello. Sorry, I think there's a little technical glitch with my presentation. But yeah, thank you for the introduction, Gustav. I'm really happy to be here. Stockholm has turned out to be a great place. It's my first visit here, and the people are awesome. And the weather is tricking me out just a little bit, but I've been having a great time so far. But today I'm here to talk about importance of public relations, and I actually came as the winner of the Global Entrepreneurship Challenge, where I was asked to address the question of what can be done to increase the number and impact of young entrepreneurs in your country. And after winning, Gustav gave me a call and he's like, okay, so you're going to come out and come to the startup conference, and would you like to speak? And I was like, yeah, sure. It would be great to kind of communicate my ideas to people across the globe and kind of learn from them as well. But then I got super nervous because I was like, what is a person like me going to offer? So prior to starting my presentation, I want to offer you a bit of a disclaimer. So I currently work for the Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology at UC Berkeley. It's kind of equivalent to Exitera, as I met yesterday. And they kind of do kind of entrepreneurship. They promote entrepreneurship within the College of Engineering at UC Berkeley, and I work on the public relations side, where I maintain contact with some of the VCs, investors, entrepreneurs in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, and I facilitate when they come in to speak on various aspects of starting a company like you're probably hearing today. And in addition, I'm working with 2 startups in the Bay Area as well. Both are in the clean tech space. One is a Ford Efficiency that works on kind of lowering the chief barrier to the entry into the energy efficiency market for consumers, where we kind of make easier access to the incentives and subsidies that are available. And Solar Fusion is trying to kind of revolutionize the solar power market. And we're going to start in Colorado and kind of launch out from there. But essentially, we're going to create an off-site place where we're going to make a larger solar system where people could buy shares in, and that's funneled through the utility. If you'd like to hear more about this, you could come talk to me after. But most of my motivation is drawn from these 3 things, along with what I'm studying in school right now. So just a little brief disclaimer. So the first question you may ask is, why should we care about PR? When is it important? And to kind of address this topic, I cite a popular entrepreneurial theory, which pretty much states that people around the world tend to have the same ideas at the same time. One of the earlier speakers in the main floor actually kind of covered this briefly, but it's kind of epitomized in this quote that I found in the Portable MBA in Entrepreneurship. And what it really means, actually in my past 2 days here, I attended an event at the technical college here. And seeing some of the pitches today, a lot of the companies that I hear about are quite similar to ones that I've already heard about in the Bay Area. And it's important to realize that, because you got to know that your company that you might think is unique over here is not unique around the world. And the key takeaways from this is that you want to really differentiate yourself and become known. And it's very important to kind of get yourself ahead of the game prior to your competition doing so. And just to put this in perspective, there were about 600 social networks funded around the same time as Facebook. And these are just the A's. And a lot of them you probably haven't heard about. And it's quite a revolutionary concept at the time that social networking was kind of gaining speed and momentum, that all these other companies are trying it. And so now your idea that you might think is going to be revolutionary might not be so unique. So it's kind of something to just put in perspective. So the first thing that I want to talk about with respect to public relations is personal publicity. So when I was younger, I used to attend all these events, networking events, when I was a sophomore in college, and kind of go out, collect a bunch of business cards, get super excited about entrepreneurship, and I'd leave the person that I was talking to with just my name and my email. I realized that this wasn't really that useful, and I realized it was a lot more useful when I had a business card. The main reason behind this is because you're giving somebody something tangible to remember you by. I differentiate between the personal card and the company card, mainly because for the aspiring entrepreneurs out there, it doesn't matter what age you are or what you're trying to do. It's important to get yourself out there in this respect, because people remember what it is that you can contribute to their company. Further on in the future, companies might not know what they need right now. And when they do figure that out and they have that tangible reference in front of them, they're able to come back and refer to you and kind of understand what you're all about, maybe reach out to you and be like, would you like to be a part of our company? And then the company card is more so a publicity stunt. I mean, as you attend events like this and attend industry events within your space, you kind of want to get yourself known. And the best way to do that is to have something to remember you by. And so this is how I define the publicity model. It's really your startups at the center, where you have your compelling message that you're trying to get across, and you communicate this directly to the direct publicity that I address here, which is kind of people that you meet in industry, journalists, and kind of your close friends and other entrepreneurs. And then indirect publicity is kind of what stems from there, publications, social networking, and such. And so before you actually go out and pursue public relations, the first thing that I recommend is you got to know your purpose. I can't tell you how many VCs have told me that they'll ask a company, what are you all about? And if they can't answer that question in just a couple sentences, they've already tuned out. And so it's quite important to know what your mission statement is at the outset. And there's a popular article that was written that was actually, I think, in the Harvard Business Review about an 8-word mission statement and the importance about getting your point across in 8 words. I highly recommend reading it. And then the other ones just vary depending on your audience. And the reason for this is that currently I'm working on the public relations for one of the companies, Afford Efficiency, and we're seeking journalists to write about us in local blogs and publications. And what they want to know is, how can we differentiate ourselves from others? What are we doing that's so revolutionary? And if I don't understand that, I'm not able to address those questions, that could look very badly on our company. So it's very important to know what the different aspects are of the messages that you're trying to get out there in the world. Once you've done this, network. You've probably heard this a million times, but aside from events like these, it's great to attend events in the entrepreneurial space, but it's also great to attend events within your industry. Since I'm interested in clean tech, I attend events within the Bay Area relating to energy efficiency, solar power initiatives, and such. And these are important because you meet people that are also competing in your same space that might be interested in partnering with you in the future, as well as getting your name out there and within your market space and staying up to date with your market. And then the others is in terms of journalists, you want to find out who covers your beat and really understand who's out there that is interested in you, that will write about you. And this is really important for getting to the people that you wouldn't be able to get to yourself. Many publications have thousands and millions of subscribers, and if you're able to get your name in there, it kind of generates a lot of traffic to our website, as we've noticed one of the publications that was put out. Next is personal contacts and other entrepreneurs. I mean, the people around you are the best people to kind of get the word out there, because these are also like-minded entrepreneurial people that are trying to make it the same as you are. And so really attending these events and letting the people know about your company is one of the big things. And now social networking, this is covered a lot in all of the time, so I will kind of gloss over it, but I just wanted to point out a couple of the other applications that are there, because I think social networking is really the startup's dream come true, as well as it's really leveled the entrepreneurial playing field, because over my time over here, I've heard a lot about Silicon Valley as this great place, but it really is not a necessity to be around Silicon Valley anymore. You have access to those resources across the globe quite easily. One of the big ones that I've actually noticed right now is AngelList. AngelList allows you to upload a profile about your company, and there's so many investors in Silicon Valley and angel investors tied into this social networking site right now, and there's a ton more out there. I'm sure I've not even covered the beginning of it with these, but it's really important to kind of go out there and utilize the tools like these that are available. And in terms, I've seen a lot of companies that have also done Facebook and Twitter profiles, and the important thing about this is I've seen companies that get a ton of followers, but then don't really do much with it. And it's important to stay interactive with the people that are trying to follow you and understand what you're about. And this may be in the form of tweeting as much as possible throughout the day, just about about events that are going on within your industry space and such. But it's important to maintain that form of contact with the people that are interested in you and your followers. And once you've done all this, it's important to just go out there and get the message out. Gustav earlier today talked about if you want to be a global company, start on the global scale. But for the companies that are not like that, it's important to kind of scale up, start local, then go to the national level, then go global. And this entire time, you want to keep concurrent with the online utilities that you have available. And the big one, like I've already mentioned a bunch of times, is journalists. Journalists, if you're able to get tied to a journalist, it's a lot easier to get to the people that are harder to reach within your network. Because a lot of people over here, I guarantee you, know similar people as you do, and you want to really get outside that boundary of people. And so just to put this in perspective while you're thinking about branding and kind of getting your slogan about your company out there, this is a report put out by Interbrand, which is an international brand consultancy agency, and it's the worth of a brand. Now, this is not equate to any sort of assets, as you'll see the brand value over there, and it's really important to when you're coming up with your logo, and the meaning behind your company, to really think about that. Put a lot of thought into what you want to, what your team name is, or what you're trying to get, what the messages that you're trying to get out there. And the big example that I always try to cite, and this is McDonald's. McDonald's is kind of become an internationally known company, obviously, and they're more than just an M. At first, like when I was growing up, I was like, oh, M for McDonald's. But more and more, I hear the Golden Arches or something similar, and it's quite crazy to go around the world, like be traveling around the world now, and have McDonald's referred to as a site of reference to figure out where to go. And it's really because of the kind of branding they've done to their logo and their corporation. And so this is a brief quote from a song that I listened to, but it kind of summarizes entrepreneurship in the first couple lines. It's pain, power of will, and the reason that you kind of go through all of this is you want people to remember your name and kind of remember who you are, and that's like the most important part of public relations. Is you put in all this work, and the reason that you want to put in all this work is because you want people to remember the name. And this is last slide that I would like to leave you with. This is a bunch of words that I try to live by. If you notice, there's 3 words that are in color that I like to call the 3 I's. It's kind of what I talk to entrepreneurs about in terms of how you should take your outlook. The first is inspire. You should always try and find something that inspires you as well as inspires other people. And once you find that niche, you should attack it. I've seen so many entrepreneurs go out there and kind of join any startup just because they want to get involved in that world. But you'll find that you burn out a lot quicker. And so you really need to find that inspiration. But at the same time, you need to also inspire other people, because you could have a great idea that you love, but nobody else might, and that's just not marketable. Next, you innovate. You want to innovate within this space. Once you find something that inspires you, it took me quite a while to figure out what exactly inspired me. But once you do, innovate within that space. Find out what's really necessary to create change and motivate people and stimulate people. And finally, initiate. You want to work as hard as possible. And the speakers before me have covered this quite in depth, but you want to work as hard as possible, and you don't stop working until you get that investment or kind of make the progress that you're ultimately going for. And the last word that I kind of live by is finish. I started a lot of projects that I haven't quite seen through the end, and it's important to kind of understand that if you're going to put in that much effort, it's important to kind of to finish that at the end. So, open for questions.